Good blessed Monday morning, November the 5th, 2022. The time being about 5 o'clock a.m. I greet all human beings all around the world with a universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest or the poorest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter whether you are the proclaimed toughest to the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter if you're my family, friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. Doesn't matter whether you like me or anything that I say or do. That's your prerogative. You have a first, fifth, 14th, and you have so many other amendments to the United States Constitution that guarantees you to be able to say and do as you please, long as it's in a lawful and respectful, non-violent manner. Today, I want to talk about the race in Atlanta, in Georgia, the state of Georgia, for senator, with Herschel Walker and the Raphael Warnock senator. I want y'all to pay close attention to it. First, I want to show y'all some people here. Some years ago, I had this shirt made. But if I had to make it all over again, I would remove one person off of here. And he's the only one that's alive still today. And that's a Barack Obama. He's not what who I thought he was. To each his own. But at the bottom right, you see a brother, may he rest in peace, W.E.B. Du Bois, a Pan-African civil rights leader, etc., for the people. May he rest in peace. To the left of him in the middle, Sister Rosa Parks, for the people. Refused to move off to the back of that bus for anybody because she paid her fare. To the left of her, our sister, May Rosa Parks, rest in peace, our sister Harriet Tubman. She said, I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if I could only convince them that they were slaves. We're going to go back to the right. Right above W.E.B. Du Bois, our brother, man, and friend, Nelson Mandela. If I didn't say, may Harriet Tubman rest in peace, may she rest in peace. But we have our brother Nelson Mandela. The Bible and Proverbs speak of people like Nelson Mandela. A servant or a slave become king. He fought in South Africa for years against apartheid, racism, hatred towards the dark-skinned man. He went to jail for 27 years because he wouldn't stop protesting against racism, against the dark-skinned man. He stayed in there for 27 years and they couldn't break him. Protesters around the world, he was finally freed. And he became president of the same place that denied him access in certain areas at certain times of night. That denied them equal rights. May he rest in peace. To the far left of him, our brother Cassius Clay, who became Muhammad Ali. He said, I float like a butterfly, I sing like a bee. The hands can't hit what the eyes can't see. The brother stood up for his people. All of them that I spoke about, they stood up for their people. They wasn't about money or Democrat or Republican. They was about the people. Now let's go all the way up to the top, to the right. Brother Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Al-Shabazz. He was for the people. May he rest in peace. May Muhammad Ali rest in peace. But he was for the people. Let's go in the middle. Martin Luther King, the Dr. Martin Luther King, Pastor Martin Luther King. I don't want to say reverence because the Bible said don't call no man reverence, nor do we call him father. And I have to honor that. But Martin Luther King, you see, he lost his life not for the Democratic Party, not for the rich people, but he lost his life going down to Memphis, Tennessee, solely to speak up for the garbage workers. May he rest in peace. Now we have, to the far left, on the top, Barack Obama. That's a lot of y'all heroes. You see what I'm saying? I voted for him, I believe twice. But I don't agree with the things that he's doing. If you take a good look at it now, first let me say, I would replace his picture. If I made another shirt, I would replace his picture with an individual that a lot of y'all may not be familiar with, but in Chicago there is, Dr. Willie Wilson. A black man that was in Mississippi started off in the cotton fields. Then he started working for a McDonald's as a janitor. Then he owned some McDonald's and owned more McDonald's, ended up selling them. Now he's in Chicago. He's running for mayor for 2023, and I advise y'all to support him. If you're not living in Chicago or the state of Illinois, tell some of your family members to support that man. That man doing what Jesus would do. That man doing what all these other individuals here that I mentioned, with the except of Barack Obama, is doing. They trying to help the poor people, the people that need help. He don't care what your nationality is. But let's get to why I wouldn't have Obama on there. Obama came up from his $11.75 million estate, his home in Martha Vineyard in Massachusetts, to endorse Raphael Warnock as the next senator. He made fun of Herschel Walker when Herschel Walker spoke about the vampires and the werewolf. But you see, if you listen to what Herschel Walker was saying on there, and I'm not endorsing Herschel Walker or Raphael Warnock. I'm not endorsing neither one of them. But if you listen to what Herschel Walker was saying, in the end, he was saying how the stake wouldn't kill the vampire or the werewolf. You see what I'm saying? How the cross wouldn't burn them. He said it wouldn't do it because that was fake. It wasn't real. And that's what he said about the senator that he's running against. Now do some history on this senator that Obama trying to make the jokes when he had gone back to his $11.75 million estate. And no disrespect to white folks or nobody else, but where Obama is living at, it's about 89% white people. Obama don't live around black folks. He ain't got to live around in Atlanta where them rappers killing each other, or Chicago where blacks study killing blacks. Drugs is all over the place. But see, let me tell you something about this guy that he's endorsing. You see, he trying to cover up something that this reverend at the Ebenezer Baptist Church where Dr. Martin Luther King used to pastor at, where John Lewis used to go, civil rights leader John Lewis, that is, may both of them rest in peace. And this preacher, Raphael Warnock, he mentions that Herschel Walker is trying to tarnish the name of Martin Luther King and John Lewis Church. But let me tell you how much money this church has been gave your pastor Warnock in 2021. $120,000. So he ain't preaching for free. Let me tell you what type of housing allowance that they gave him last year each month. $7,417. The ethnic committee had to investigate him because he might be getting more money than he's supposed to be getting. But let me show you something else. Pay close attention to these two videos that's gonna follow me giving you this introduction. And I want you to see how this so-called preacher of the Amnesia Baptist Church, if I ain't pronouncing it right, y'all know what I'm talking about, where Martin Luther King preached at. Listen to when this preacher that's running for a senator, the Democrat that is, who Obama came down to endorse, made fun of Herschel Walker, but God sent Herschel Walker in this race. And once y'all see this here, y'all will see why he sent him in this race. He sent him in there the same reason he sent Martin Luther King to Memphis. See, Herschel Walker brought up something that Obama wasn't going to bring up, that the preacher wasn't going to bring up. But you see, that church has owned 99% of the Columbus Towers. Used to be, I think, the Martin Luther King Jr. Village. But they own 99% of these towers. And I want you to pay attention to a black Vietnam two-tour veteran to the war, that is, in Vietnam, when they was trying to evict him. You see, they didn't want to talk about that. And I want you to see when the senator, when the news people was asking the senators about that, how he wanted to evade their question, saying Herschel Walker's lying and the white lady had the papers in her hand. 12 people being evicted. Listen to how that black veteran say how the manager at that same building that the church owned 99% of the property. See how he say the manager talked to him. He said, like S. You know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say the word. Look up and Google up how many times the police and the fire department came to that building and see for what? Dead bodies in the building. Filth. And look at the rest. Google it up. Herschel Walker may have been a joke to Obama. But one thing about him, Herschel Walker didn't let Obama cover up what he was trying to cover up. I'm going to leave as I came. Some of you blacks ain't going to like it. But every time a person is black and a Democrat, that don't mean they for you. Just like every time a person is white in the Republic, that don't mean they against you. I give it to Lynn Cheney. I don't agree with a lot of things she used to do. But she turned against her party to stand up against Trump. Harold Washington turned against didn't turn against, he left the Democratic Party in Chicago and ran for mayor on the independent ticket because he seen what the Democrats was doing. Just like they was doing it then, they doing it now, and not all of them. They doing it in Cairo, Illinois. They doing it in Carbondale, Illinois, and they doing it here in Charleston, Missouri, up under the name of the churches. But I want y'all to check these videos out, and you won't think it's funny, and you'll see how this so-called preacher trying to use John Lewis and Martin Luther King in the church that they went to cover up what he doing.
Endorsed Baptist Church, the building foundations, Columbia Towers, and eviction notices, though he himself conceded that there were no evictions made. Your reaction to some of these things that he has said?
This is yet another example of Herschel Walker lying. So let me state the facts again. Number one, there have been no evictions, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that. Number two, my church has no involvement in the day-to-day operations of that apartment building, and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution also reported that. This is an example of a candidate who has so little to offer to the people of Georgia that he has resorted to trying to sully the name of Martin Luther King Jr.'s church and John Lewis's church. And what is also shameful is that the work that's being done there is for people who struggle with mental illness and disabilities, folks who are coming out of homelessness.
And so if there is the eviction notice right here. You want to confirm these or not?
Please, I'm talking.
Yes, sir.
And he is exploiting these people as he is good at for short-term political gain. The same way he exploited veterans whom he claimed to be.
So there's eviction notices right here.
But is he going to go on record saying that these are not the eviction notices?
This one, he said that
I
he had
understand,
offered
but that
to
is
pay
the
the outstanding
records.
balances.
These are the records that are
and,
shown right
he
here.
said that you had refused that offer, the balances on these, I guess, delinquent rents. So he said that you had.
There are at least 12 tenants on here that have confirmed.
Let me say again that there have been no evictions.
I mean, there's eviction notices right here, and I have a stack of
confirmed
them.
by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And my church has no involvement in the day-to-day operations of that park. Herschel Walker is lying, which he's good at.
You can't lie on public record, though, is the issue. There's public documents that
Your
confirm.
reaction to the record early vote. Your reaction to the record early voting. What do you think that portends for the rest of the campaign?
Well, I was heartened by the record turnout we saw yesterday, and I hope it continues. There's so much at stake in this election. The stakes are very high, the issues are urgent. And I've been saying to folks that there's no such thing as election day, it's election season. And folks need to turn out and vote early.
Well, so we need to go ahead.
What is the largest issue you see facing college students?
Well, I spent a lot of time on college campuses. I was at Georgia State yesterday, and I'm just so inspired by the energy and the idealism of these young people.
It's what you do when nobody's watching.
And Warnock thought no one was watching when his ex-wife called police to report his abuse.
And he's a great actor.
And Warnock thought no one was watching when he evicted poor people from their homes.
And you really evicted for $119. Treat me like
Character is what you do.
When nobody's watching, you find out who Reverend Warnock really is.
I'm Herschel Walker, and I approve this.